Hello and welcome to The Storytelling Pavilion, Mysteries, Enigmatic Answers Beyond Miracles, Episode 2. For this episode, our first story is about a woman who encounters supernatural phenomena, commonly known as ghosts. The story is titled, Mysterious Touch, Whispers from the Past in an Abandoned Temple. The second story is The Deadly Curve, a tale of a journey that leads to strange situations that shake one's beliefs. All the stories in this pavilion are written by Juti, and the events in these tales are personal experiences, known only to those who experience them. If you're ready, let's begin listening to these stories. Mysterious Touch, Whispers from the Past in an Abandoned Temple. Enigmatic Ayutthaya Province, a land of glorious and mysterious history, is popular for 9 temple tours to enhance one's fortune. This is due to the belief in the sacredness of many ancient sites and old temples. This former capital is not only full of traces of past glory, but also steeped in tales of mysterious powers and spirits that still reside here. People believe that in some places, especially old temples and palaces, the spirits of people from the past still linger. These include the spirits of kings, nobles, soldiers, or commoners who remain attached to their beloved places. Some say that at night, they hear whispers, footsteps, or even see shadowy figures of people from the past, creating an atmosphere of wonder and thrill for visitors. Minnie, a 28-year-old office worker, is one of today's visitors to Ayutthaya. She's traveling with a 9-temple tour group, hoping to enhance her fortune in life and career. Minnie is a hard worker, but her life seems to be at a standstill. She decided to join this trip at the suggestion of a close friend, hoping that the sacred power of this historical land would change her life for the better. Wat the Karong, one of the 9 popular temples, is the third stop of the trip. It has a 500-year-old sermon hall that people flock to for prayers and blessings. But for Minnie, visiting this temple becomes the beginning of a horrifying experience she never expected. This temple has a 500-year-old sermon hall where people come to pay respects to the Buddha, make wishes, and make merit. On that day, people entered to pay respects to the Buddha as usual. Only Minnie, upon stepping into the 500-year-old hall, experienced something unusual. She felt her hair stand on end and tears welling up. She tried to hold it back, not wanting anyone to see her as strange. After paying respects to the Buddha, she put 20 baht in the temple's donation box and quickly left the hall. But her friend who came along saw something behind her, a shirtless man wearing red traditional pants following her out. Minnie herself still felt goosebumps and was on the verge of tears. Her friend suggested they go back into the hall to dedicate merit to the person following her. They went back in, and this time her friend whispered that it wasn't just one man, but many people were approaching her from all directions. Minnie and her friend made another donation and sat in meditation to dedicate merit until her friend said, "They're gone." Later, her friend told her that in a past life, she had been someone who read out the names of prisoners here, and these people were spirits who hadn't yet been reborn. That day, Minnie continued to visit and pay respects at several more temples. At the last temple, Wat Phut Hazawan, Minnie experienced the same symptoms: uncontrollable tears, goosebumps from head to toe, and back again, repeatedly, until she was too weak to walk. The same friend said there were soldiers everywhere, pulling at her arms and legs, some even riding on her shoulders. In a past life, she had been a soldier here and had been reborn before them. All she could do was dedicate merit to them, and she felt better after doing so. That is Minnie's story, who is a friend of the author. She is a capable woman who spent her teenage years socializing with friends as usual. After graduation, she got a good position at a factory in Enigmatic Ayutthaya Province. Not long after she started working, she decided to get married. It seemed her life was going well with the choices she made. Until one day, friends received shocking news about her. She had gone mad, lost her mind. Many friends tried to investigate what had happened. Some went to visit her and came back reporting that she was acting strange, spacing out, talking nonsense, and sometimes throwing tantrums. Everyone thought she was possessed by a ghost. She couldn't work and had to take leave, eventually quitting her job. Her lover took her to mediums, monks, and many famous spiritual teachers. Finally, her condition improved, and she could talk and live normally again. Although sometimes she had episodes where she couldn't control herself, she was still aware of what was happening to her. Years passed, and she told the author, who is one of her close friends, about what had happened. She said whether to believe it or not was up to each person's judgment, as it's a personal belief. She wasn't forcing anyone to believe. She said what she saw, to the point where she couldn't control herself, were numerous spirits surrounding her. They appeared to her until she was so frightened that she lost her mind. She later learned that some of these spirits were ancestors, some were spirits that had followed her from past lives. They appeared to her when she wasn't ready to face them. She said it was karma. A certain revered monk in Phetchabun province became her teacher, helping her accept what was happening. One day, she had a chance to make merit at a temple, and suddenly she started crying uncontrollably. Everyone thought she was possessed by a ghost, but she said she was aware of herself the whole time but couldn't stop crying. People who came to make merit stared at her with interest, shock, fear, and curiosity. When her condition calmed down, the revered monk explained that it wasn't possession, but many spirits had come to ask for merit and were signaling her. What she saw and thought were spirits were actually souls surrounding her, trying to help her walk the right path of Dhamma. After that day, she found herself receiving signals often when visiting old temples, places she had connections with, or even at funerals. Wat the Karong and Wat Phut Hazawan were just examples of places where she found she had connections. That friend of hers, whom she met at a meditation center, had a sixth sense and could perceive things that ordinary people couldn't see or know. Minnie resigned herself to a life of encountering spirits that people call ghosts. Every time she was affected, signaling a request for merit, she would get goosebumps, understanding the old saying, catching a cold with a bald head. But whenever she visited ancient places, the goosebumps would come with uncontrollable tears. She could only dedicate merit, spread loving kindness, meditate to spread merit. Sometimes she would donate money and dedicate the merit to those who gave her goosebumps. I dedicate this merit to those who are causing me to have goosebumps. May you be happy and free from suffering. Minnie calls them souls that haven't been reborn, which are spirits that have left their physical bodies. When these souls have nowhere to go, they linger in places they used to inhabit. When they appear to people, they're often called ghosts. If they appear in dreams, they're still called ghosts. In truth, spirits and ghosts are souls without a physical body to inhabit. Luangpur Samkiat Usebo, a monk who has passed away, once taught the author that ghosts are spirits, and spirits are souls that have left their bodies. Souls can be explained scientifically as a type of energy wave in a different dimension. The soul in a human body, which is called sankhara, can be strengthened through meditation practice. Many monks with strong souls can use this power to do certain things while alive. For example, Luangpur Choi Shansavano, who has passed away, could shorten distances. Luangpu Wayne was rumored to be seen in the air due to his mental training and meditation practice, and some monks can separate their astral body from their physical body, sankhara. But for those who die and become ghosts, their souls become a kind of energy wave without a physical body to inhabit. The strength of this energy wave depends on the merit and karma they've accumulated. It's difficult for them to appear visibly to people, except to those who have practiced meditation to the point where their minds can sense these energy waves, or those with a special sense called the sixth sense, or if the ghost's energy wave happens to be in tune with a person's. Then they can see these energies. Seeing ghosts is not a stroke of bad luck for people who normally can't see them but suddenly can at certain moments. It's because of energy waves that happen to align. If we don't pay attention, we might not even realize it's a ghost. What people generally decide is a ghost is based on guessing from the appearance of the dead person in an unusual state, such as in the condition at the time of death, especially if it was from an accident, because they'll immediately know it's not a living person. Or if they appear in clothing from a past life, not the present, it's also immediately recognizable. But if they appear in a normal, everyday appearance, we might not even know it's a ghost. During the tsunami tragedy, how many people knew whether the foreigners walking on Phuket's beaches after the event were people or ghosts? Because some of the deceased, their minds were still attached to their last actions, which is called dying without realizing they're dead, so they lingered in that area. One day when they realize, they'll go to their own realm. This can be observed from the fact that in recent times, there have been almost no reports of people seeing foreigners walking and then disappearing before their eyes anymore. In Buddhism, the belief in ghosts is tied to the cycle of rebirth, birth, aging, illness, death, and then rebirth again. If one creates good karma, at the very least they can enjoy happiness in the Katamaharajika heaven. If they practice good deeds through meditation, they can ascend to higher heavenly realms. But if they create bad karma, heavy karma, their souls fall into the realm of hell, becoming hungry ghosts or demons. Sometimes they have the opportunity to ask for merit from humans. This is different from newly deceased souls because they can't maintain their pre-death form, so they appear ugly and frightening according to the karma they've created. However, both souls that have created good and bad karma are waiting for rebirth, called Sambhavisi. As for the ghosts often encountered in ancient sites or sacred places, some may be deities tasked with protecting that place. But some are souls that have made a commitment to stay in that place, due to attachments across lifetimes and realms. Therefore, ghosts are not as frightening as we think. Practicing Dhamma may allow us to connect with them more easily. Then we can answer for ourselves, is this a ghost? In truth, it's just a soul that hasn't yet been reborn. The deadly curve, the beginning of a supernatural experience. The deadly curve, a name that sounds frightening and reminds one of terrible accidents. But for the author, it became the starting point of an experience beyond comprehension. The story begins with an ordinary journey from Mahasarakam to Nakhon Phanom. However, when they reached the ascent to Phu Phan Mountain in the evening, everything changed. The encounter with a mysterious woman by the roadside and making eye contact with her became a crucial turning point. This incident not only made the author feel scared, but also opened a door to a world of mysteries she had never believed in before. An interesting point is why the author was the only one who saw this woman. And why did a single eye contact have such a severe impact? This might indicate the author's spiritual sensitivity, or perhaps she was chosen by some energy in that area. Let's hear how the author faced the mysterious, from Phu Phan to Nakhon Phanom. Years ago, the author traveled to work with a friend in the northeastern region of Thailand. One day, they had to travel to Nakhon Phanom, passing through Phu Phan Mountain. While passing through a curve, she began to experience strange events that were hard to explain rationally. It was the beginning of a journey that would change her perspective on the world forever. The first symptom was a severe headache, occurring immediately after making eye contact with the mysterious woman walking by the curve. This pain was unlike any ordinary headache, but as severe as if someone was hammering her skull. The author felt waves of pain coursing through her head, along with a cold sensation spreading throughout her body. Although she tried to tell herself it was due to travel fatigue or motion sickness, deep down, she knew it wasn't just that. As the car climbed to the top of Phu Phan Mountain, another strange incident occurred. Amidst the darkness and silence, the author heard faint Thai music. The sounds of xylophone and gong floated softly on the breeze, as if an orchestra was playing somewhere on the mountaintop. The music was beautiful but tinged with sadness, giving her goosebumps. The author felt drawn to the source of the sound, but at the same time wanted to run as far away as possible. Fear began to overtake her mind when she realized that she was the only one who could hear this music. Her travel companions and the driver didn't hear anything. That night in Nakhon Phanom, a strange dream visited her. In the dream, the author felt something heavy pressing on her body. When she opened her eyes, she saw a boy playing on top of her. His face was pale, but he had a wide smile. The boy's laughter echoed in her head, along with a warning. "Sister, sister, you encountered a problem before climbing Phu Phan." The author tried to move but couldn't. She could only watch the boy running back and forth on her body. This dream made her wake up in the middle of the night, sweating, heart racing, still feeling constricted, as if something was about to happen. The next day, while her friend went for training, the author went out to explore the city with anxiety. Fate led her to meet an old fortune teller sitting by the roadside. With curiosity and accumulated worry, she went to consult him. The conversation with the fortune teller increased her anxiety. When she heard about spirit servants and things that were sent, the author felt a chill, as if a cold wind passed through her bones. The fortune teller's words, "If it's a spirit servant, sometimes the person who keeps them sends things through the spirit. If you're unlucky and encounter the wind, you might be affected by it," further reinforced her fear. Throughout this time, the author had to battle various feelings: fear, confusion, and uncertainty about what was happening. She tried to find rational explanations for the events, but everything seemed beyond scientific explanation. Her old beliefs about the natural world began to shake, and she started to realize that there might be something beyond her understanding happening. This journey was not just a physical one, but also a spiritual journey that was revealing some truths she had never known before. Physical effects: the battle with the thing that entered the body. After the astonishing experience in Nakhon Phanom, the author began to face more severe physical effects. During the journey from Nakhon Phanom to Ubon Ratchathani, symptoms of illness became apparent. The first symptom was severe abdominal pain. This pain was unlike ordinary diarrhea, but as intense as if an invisible hand was twisting her intestines. This was followed by severe nausea and vomiting. The author had to ask the driver to stop several times to rush to roadside restrooms. This physical torment not only affected her body but also her mind. The author began to recall the fortune teller's warning and the strange dream she had. Fear and doubt began to dominate her mind. Was this just a normal illness, or was it the result of being affected by something supernatural? What made the situation even more perplexing was the inability to find any anti-diarrheal medicine along the way. Despite stopping at several pharmacies, there wasn't a single pill available. This incident further reinforced the feeling that something supernatural was occurring. The culmination of the illness occurred in Amnat Cherowin province, on a road surrounded by vast rice fields. The author had to sit by the roadside for her final bout of vomiting. What came out wasn't ordinary food or digestive fluids, but a greenish mucus with an extremely bitter taste. At that moment, she felt that there was nothing left in her stomach to vomit, and had a strange feeling that something had been expelled from her body. This experience not only left the author physically exhausted, but also had a profound impact on her psyche. She began to question the reality of the world around her, and started to open her mind to the possibility of supernatural occurrences. This journey became both a physical and spiritual voyage, permanently changing her perspective on this world. Part 4. Discovery and Acceptance, when the visible and invisible worlds converge. Upon reaching Yuban Ratchathani, the author felt as if she had just endured a long battle. Her body was exhausted, but her mind was full of questions and doubts. She collapsed onto the hotel bed and entered a state between sleep and wakefulness. In this semi-dream state, the author saw a strange sight. A boy appeared, but not the same one she had seen in her previous dream. This boy seemed more cheerful and lively. He ran around the bed, giggling. Feeling very tired, the author said to the boy, "Little one, can you go play somewhere else?" "I'm tired." The boy smiled widely, nodded, and then ran away through the door. When her friend returned, guided by some instinct, she told her friend to pray before sleeping. It was the first time she felt the importance of spiritual protection. The next morning, the author felt much better, as if she had passed some kind of test. But doubts still lingered in her mind. She sat down to review all the events that had occurred, from seeing the woman at the deadly curve, the music on Fu Fan, the strange dreams, the fortune teller's warning, to the severe illness. While her friends still suspected it might have been just food poisoning, the author began to understand that what happened wasn't a coincidence or ordinary event. She started to connect everything and realized that she had truly experienced something supernatural. This understanding led to the acceptance that the world we can see and the world we can't see coexist, and sometimes overlap. She began to understand the meaning of being affected by something, and things that are released, as the monk had once mentioned. This experience not only changed her perspective on the world, but also changed how she lived her life. The author began to place importance on following moral principles, keeping her mind pure, and being mindful in her daily life. She understood that these practices were not just religious principles, but also served as spiritual protection. Conclusion. The author began to understand that the spirit on the curve might have died from a car accident. However, due to karmic consequences, she might have been drawn to stay with someone possessing supernatural powers, who would then release her to wait on the curve where she died. Or it could be her own angry spirit, unable to let go. Her energy would be strongest at this location. Some people with weak minds might be startled upon seeing her, potentially leading to accidents and death similar to hers. Others affected by her presence might fall ill, unable to be cured by modern medicine. Some might go crazy, speaking nonsensically as if possessed. As for the author's symptoms, if not due to supernatural causes as believed, they could simply be food poisoning. People who eat the same food don't necessarily experience the same symptoms because our body's elemental compositions differ, leading to different reactions. Although some deadly curves may be more dangerous than we imagine, adherence to morality, firmly doing good and avoiding evil, concentration, being mindful and living cautiously, wisdom, gaining insight, finding enlightenment in problems, can serve as protective shields and guide us safely through all dangers. This is the conclusion of the deadly curve, reminding us to live our lives mindfully hereafter. That concludes our stories for today: Mysterious Touch, Whispers from the Past in an Abandoned Temple, and The Deadly Curve. This storytelling pavilion has many more tales to share. If you enjoyed our stories, please follow us and give us a like for encouragement. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.